Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I am the Average Doomsday Prepping Dude. Today's video is going to be on replacing your safety in your Shadow 2. If it has the low profile dual-sided safety or the left extended safety or right extended safety, replacing with whatever you want. I'm going to be putting in a extended left side safety in my Shadow 2. I've already done this on my Tac Sport. The frame profiles are actually the same, so in case you've ever wondered if you can put in a Shadow 2 safety on your Tac Sport, here's proof that it actually does work. The video will also be on how to remove the sear cage from your Shadow 2, which would be the same as your Tac Sport as well, because you need to remove the safety in order to remove the sear cage. So you will need a few tools in order to remove the safety from your Shadow 2 or CZ Tac Sport. The first is a really small flathead screwdriver. These are usually used for watches and or glasses. It does need to be a flathead. You will also need a small to medium punch. This is a 3/32 inch punch. You don't need a hammer because you're not really doing too much hammering, but it's to engage this side of the safety here to kind of help get it out easier. You will need to remove the slide in order to do so. So let's go ahead and do that. The pistol has already been safety checked, so I use my magazine tip to get this out, like so. Just get this off, put that aside. We don't need these parts for what we're doing. Okay, so there's a few things that have to happen in order to remove the safety from the frame as well as the sear cage, because the safety is actually what retains the sear cage into the frame. So if you need to do any work on the trigger assembly, the spring, you actually need to remove the sear cage to be able to take that out. So this is the first step in doing that. So how the sear actually stays put inside the safety is there's a little cutout on your safety. This sear spring is actually what retains the safety into the sear cage. There's also a little detent right here that you can barely see on camera that is actually what makes the safety click up and down. You can kind of see it moving right there as you engage and disengage the safety. So those two things are actually what's keeping the left side safety in place. What that looks like actually is this when you take it apart. So this is what's going through your sear cage, and this is actually being retained into the frame with another detent on the right side in that little cutout right there. So in order to get these off, I first have to take my flathead screwdriver and scoop it under the little sear spring here, so it moves out of the little cutout. So you see it's now to the right. It was, when you're facing the pistol, it's to the right this way. If it's all the way to the left side, it's actually going to be in the notch. So once that's there, I'm going to want to push the safety with this little cutout there, and it's not going to go that far. It's going to go there. So from here, what I'm going to have to do is kind of just wiggle this out. Don't go too fast. And you see the sear cage just moved forward because now there's nothing really retaining the sear cage into the frame now that it's getting loose. So I'm going to put my left thumb on the sear cage to keep it back. Just kind of wiggle that out. Before you take the sear cage out, be very, very careful. The detent that engages the safety, as I said, is right here. You don't want that shooting out. So I'm just going to gently take this out, put that there. So the sear cage is there. So now you can really see the detent right there. That's what engages the left side of the safety here. So with that out, I actually do not need to take the right side of the safety out. That is also being retained here with another detent in the frame. So since this is the same as this, I'm just going to take this off now, put this aside. So to get it back together, you're gonna have to kind of pull the hammer back, and again, wiggle this in so you don't disturb this detent on that side of the frame. Kind of get it into position there. You're gonna have to pull it down and push. So with the hammer down, so I can now start putting this through. Once you see it like this, where you can actually see the hole of the sear, put it through, hold it in my left hand, and now you can see that it's trying to get into past that little sear spring that was retained in the little cutout of the safety. So what I need to do is I just need to wiggle that around and lift up, pushing at the same time. Get it there. And once you get that clear, it'll go in only so far. So once you get it about to here, you'll hear a click. You need to make sure that the safety on this side is going to line up with this cutout here. It's only going to go to about there. You have to now push in this detent here in order to get it to clear where it's at. So once you have that, now you need to push it in some more. Wiggle it, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And now it is in. You'll see that the sear spring is now engaged into the safety itself. So I can pull the hammer back and it actually works. I can put the slide back on. Test. And I have a fully functional safety. So the next video in the series is going to be on replacing the trigger with the Shadow 2 Reach Reduction Kit, which has the old combat style trigger, as well as removing and replacing the trigger pin with the floating trigger pin, and replacing the trigger return spring with the reduced power trigger spring in order to give it better double action and single action. I'm used to shooting Berettas. I've done a lot of work on my Berettas to get them really finely tuned. I think the stock Shadow 2 trigger is just okay. I think it can be better. So that's what the next video series is going to be on.